Welcome, fellow denizens of the dark. This is Lance, your host of Strange Bites, where we sink our teeth into wonderfully weird and wild science discoveries. I really appreciate everyone tuning in. If you enjoy the show, please hit that subscribe button on your favorite podcast app, leave a quick review, and follow us on social media. Your support truly makes a difference. Now let's dive into today's bite. In episode 37, we're heading south of the border to the lush hills of Veracruz, Mexico. It's late 2025. In a quiet piece of land near the town of Coatepec, it's about to become somebody's new backyard. Bulldozers are idling. Permits are signed. Progress is coming. But the ground has other ideas. Locals out walking their dogs or heading to the store start noticing big, suspiciously shaped stones being shifted around by construction crews. Stones that look old. Really old. One neighbor speaks up. Alarms are raised. And just like that, the experts from Mexico's INA, the National Institute of Anthropology and History, roll in for what they called a salvage excavation. Think of it like emergency surgery for history, digging fast and carefully before modern life paves over the past. What they uncovered didn't just add a new line to the history books, it wrote a whole new chapter that nobody had seen before. A unique ceremonial platform with circular stone accents like nothing recorded in central Veracruz, and a towering carved monolith that seemed to show elites reaching for divine water. A story of local ingenuity, far-flung cultural connections, ritual, and maybe even ancient climate stress, all preserved just in time. Let's dive in. The site sits on the edge of larger Campo Viejo archaeological zone, a place researchers have been quietly studying since around 2000. This particular patch of earth, about 12 hectares, on private land that had its zoning changed for homes, became the focus of a rescue dig starting late 2025. Fieldwork is still wrapping up as I record this, with full lab analysis expected in early 2027. Archaeologists Lino Espinoza Garcia and Alberto Vasquez led the team from the INA Veracruz Center. They weren't expecting anything world-changing, but layer by layer, the dirt started giving up its secrets. First came the platform, a solid rectangular structure about 30 meters long by 12 meters wide. That's roughly the size of a couple tennis courts side by side. It was built with flat flagstones and beautifully worked white limestone. Here's the cool part. The builders didn't just stack rocks. They treated the limestone with some kind of induced process, probably heating or cooking it in a controlled way to give it a smooth, white plaster-like or yeso texture. It was decorative engineering. They wanted it to look sharp and special. Then came the real head-scratcher. Circular stones embedded along at least two of the platform's flanks or sides. Almost squared or geometric lines and figures carved or arranged onto it. Archaeologists straight up said these features have never been recorded in this part of Mexico before. No direct match in the region. It's not a copy of famous Maya or other styles. It's something local and inventive. A very particular structure, as one of the lead archaeologists put it. Think of it like finding a custom-built stage or ritual plaza, where the architect decided to add these perfect round accents and geometric flair that no one else in the neighborhood was doing. It screams community pride and technical know-how from people who lived here between roughly 200 and 600 AD, the early classic period in Mesoamerican timelines. But the platform wasn't alone. Associated with it was the real showstopper, a massive monolithic stone sculpture, or stela, standing about 1.88 meters tall, just over 6 feet, 1.47 meters wide at its broadest, and narrower at the base. It was found reused and placed face down in the latter construction phases. a sign that the site saw multiple building episodes over time. Walls on top of walls, alignments, earth and stone architecture, clay-coated surfaces. This wasn't a one-and-done spot. People kept coming back and building on it. When they flipped that stone over and cleaned it up, the carvings told a story. Two seated elite figures dressed in elaborate outfits. One appears to have Mayoid or Maya-like facial features, something unusual and previously unseen in the local artistic record here. The other has attire or elements that hint at ball game connections. Think ritual sport with deep cultural meaning. They're interacting with a vessel or bowl, and above them a powerful divine or supernatural entity pours or emanates a fluid, interpreted as a sacred liquid, very likely water or something life-giving, toward them. Archaeologists see this as a symbolic or ritual scene. It might reference the three levels of the Mesoamerican cosmos: underworld, earthly realm, and supernatural above, or a consecration plea ritual. Some interpretations tie the water motif to times of environmental stress, like drought periods that hit parts of the region during the classical era, corn offerings found nearby, charred maize, and even a corncob fragment preserving much of its original form, reinforce how central agriculture and ritual were. Corn wasn't just food, it was sacred. The whole complex points to a civic ceremonial place used by a local population that was deeply connected to the wider Gulf Coast and Mesoamerican world, but developed its own distinctive traditions. Not purely Maya, not exactly like neighboring groups, their own flavor. President Claudia Steinbaum called the discovery very relevant in a morning press conference and pledged government resources for more investigation and restoration. Mexico's Secretary of Culture highlighted how every new structure and symbol reminds us of the country's deep, diverse heritage and the importance of protecting it as a common good. Conservation work on the monolith has already started. The platform will get stabilization and restoration. The site might one day be visible, but the priority right now is careful study by the interdisciplinary team, looking at the stone treatment, the pottery fingerprints that help date things, the offerings, and what the art is really saying. How do they know all the timing and meaning without a time machine? They read the dirt like chapters in an old book. Each soil layer is a page, newer stuff on top, older below. They study the styles of broken pottery scattered around, because ancient potters changed their designs over generations, the way we swap phone cases or sneaker trends. That, plus the overall context and construction phases, pins the main activity to the early classic, about 1400 to 1800 years ago. Material analysis reveals how the limestone was transformed. Ancient builders essentially invented a special finish. Iconography experts decoded the carvings like they are reading an ancient graphic novel or emoji sequence. It's part detective work, part forensic science, part art history. And here's the human drama. Without that one neighbor noticing the stones and speaking up, and without the quick Ina response, some of this might have been lost under foundations. Development and heritage often dance an awkward tango. In this case, the past won, a temporary retrieve. So what does this all tell us? On one level, it's a beautiful reminder that history isn't a clean, centralized story written by the biggest cities or the flashiest empires. Real human progress happens in countless local places like this one in Veracruz. People experimented with architecture, mixed ideas from far away. Those Mayoid traits show connections stretching towards the Maya world. They invented their own unique expressions, circular platform accents and all. These weren't passive followers, they were creative problem solvers and storytellers in stone. Every never-seen-before detail expands our map of what ancient Mesoamericans were capable of. It makes the past feel more alive, more diverse, and more like us. The monolith scene, elites reaching for sacred water from a higher power, hits differently in our era of climate uncertainty. Whether it was a direct response to drought or a broader ritual about life, fertility, and cosmic balance, it shows humans have always turned to meaning-making, community ritual, and appeals to forces bigger than ourselves when the environment gets tough. Corn offerings nearby underscore how tied survival was to the land. As we face our own shifting weather patterns, droughts, and resource stresses, what rituals or shared stories will we create or revive? Science and engineering are powerful tools, but wonder, respect for nature, and collective action still seem essential. The ancients remind us we're not the first to negotiate with the sky and the soil. Then there's the modern tension baked into the discovery itself. A new neighborhood almost erased this story. Alert citizens and professional archaeologists saved it. For now. It forces an honest question. How do we build homes, infrastructure, and futures without bulldozing the irreplaceable chapters of who we were? The good news is that technology is evolving fast. Future tools like advanced ground-penetrating radar, drone mapping, AI-assisted analysis of carvings and materials, and non-invasive conservation science could let us listen to more of these buried stories with far less destruction. We can do better at balancing progress and preservation. Ultimately, this find connects us across time in a profound way. Those two figures on the stone, dressed in their finest, reaching for divine provision. They were asking big questions too. How do we live well? What forces shape our world? What do we owe to the generations before and after us? In unearthing their platform and their plea, we're holding up a mirror. We see human ingenuity, cultural exchange, environmental awareness, and the drive to leave something meaningful behind. Every unique discovery like this one makes the universe and our place in it a little stranger and a lot more wondrous. It proves that curiosity and careful digging still pay off. The past isn't dead. It's just waiting for the right moment and the right neighbor to speak up. That's it for today's episode of Strange Bites. If the story gave you chills or made you look at your own backyard differently, hit me up on socials or drop a comment. What do you think that sacred fluid really represented? Got theories about the circular stones? I know I do. Until next time, stay strange and question everything.